Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Digital Photography 1. There has been a lot of talk about the various properties of light, and often scientists and philosophers, they ask the question, can light think? Because up until pretty recently, until Einstein's time, in 1906, let's say, when he developed his theory of relativity, we really didn't know that much about light energy. We have recently found out that the brain runs on energy and that light is energy, and that light is just part of a larger spectrum that is inhabited by both light and energy. And scientists use images of light to describe the neural activity of thought in the human brain, which is really interesting. But the reverence for light goes way back. In fact, the word enlightenment comes from Sanskrit, and it means pure and unqualified knowledge. So religions and cults have always thought of light as being something much more than simple illumination. Light doesn't have to think. Light is actually thought energy. And you can think of light as not having perhaps its own thought process, but being a partner and enabling us to think in certain ways and to use it for the purpose of this class to create really good images that make other people think. So if light is just energy, is all energy light? Well, this is an electromagnetic spectrum. Only a very small part of this energy spectrum is visible to humans. You can see on the very left side cosmic rays, and then of course we're familiar with X-rays, and then on the other side there's radio broadcast bands and other kinds of things. So that's all electromagnetic energy as described by Einstein and later scientists. But we can only see a little bit of that. We can capture the kind of energy that we can't see. So on the left we see X-rays. We can't see X-ray wavelengths. And on the right you see the culmination of microwaves, long infrared wavelengths being used to boil water in your microwave. So we have film that can record X-rays, which is invisible to us. And we have cameras now that can record really interesting infrared images, which are also invisible to us. You can get one of your cameras altered to reach down into the spectrum and take photographs like this. They just peel off the infrared blocking layer on your sensor. Blinding light can seem like an enemy, and in that way we think of light as actually having a bit of a personality, and light guides us. All religions associate light with gods. All mythology, religious writings, they begin with the introduction of light, which is very interesting. So we see that in all religions. Does light have a spirit, or does it just represent a spirit? Well, when you look at all these various religions and how they are linked to light and they have their source as light, it's hard to imagine that light isn't some kind of a representation of a spirit. And we think of spirits as being energy, and we know that light is energy, so the two seem to go hand in hand. So light seems to have its own spirit. When we understand light, we add its power to our spirit because it's a very helpful tool and it guides us. So with light as our ally, we become more powerful. We will now expand our study of the spirit and the power of light by examining some basic scientific principles of light theory. First of all, let's begin with the word atom. Atom is a Greek word meaning something that is too small to be divided. So, although the Greeks couldn't photograph atoms and they couldn't prove that the world was comprised of atoms, they certainly believed that everything was made out of atoms. And even the atomic theory of the Greeks, which goes back, it's a very long time ago, much of that has just been proven with the Hadron Collider that's been built in France. See, when energy is applied to an atom, it is absorbed. And then the electrons, which are surrounding the nucleus of that atom, they accelerate and they jump to a wider orbit. So through centrifugal force, energy is applied to an atom and the surrounding electrons speed up and then they go outside of the orbit. But when the electrons slow down, they fall back into their original orbit, and that gives off a bit of excess energy when those electrons relax and go back to their original orbit. And that is called a photon. And photons are what we see as light. So every time you see light, whether it's headlights in a car, the moon, the northern lights, just a regular street lamp, what's happening is photons are being created as electrons speed up and then they slow back down to their orbit. Now, light itself is predictable, at least on this planet. It always travels in a straight line for you and I. Einstein has proven in his various theories that light bends. It is susceptible to the gravity of larger celestial bodies. But that doesn't affect us. The more accurate you are at predicting the path of light, the more powerful you will become. So let's end this with the question we began. Can light think? Well, light isn't capable of thought, but it's a big component of our thinking process. And when we make photographs using light, we can inspire thought amongst other people, such as photographs in advertising or for political purposes, or just inspiring emotion when we take photographs of our family. So thinking about how light works and harnessing its power, that's what this class is all about. So we're going to work together to learn how to harness the power of light because it makes us more powerful and it's fun. Thanks.